Hey guys, what's up? It's Tom Holland here. I am at the ACE Seattle Comic Con, having a great time, meeting everyone. It's going really well. I wanted to apologize because there's no real revelations coming out this weekend about Spider-Man 2. I don't know much about it. I'm a little confused because I died, so I don't really know how it all comes into play. But I do know is I got the new script. I'm super excited to read it, and it's going to be great. So yeah, it's fun.
Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and here's what we know about Spider-Man Far From Home. So recently we got some pretty big news through Tom Holland about the future of Spider-Man. It's big in that it's our first real look at what the MCU is going to be like in their Phase 4. Following the conclusion of the Avengers Infinity War sequel, they're going to be moving on, with Spider-Man 2 taking place moments after that sequel. Likely it's going to be a similar bridge the way Homecoming was, where we were introduced to Spider-Man through his actions in Civil War, and that was immediately followed up at the beginning of Homecoming through Spider-Man's little videos. Something along those lines is likely to continue with whatever happens to Peter in the Infinity War sequel. Obviously, for those of you who have seen Infinity War, something's going to have to change from the status quo as it exists now, but we all knew that was happening since the release of Spider-Man Homecoming promised a sequel to begin with. And if the name's any indication, it might be a very interesting adventure based on where it starts and where Peter might have been left off at the end of Infinity War 2, or whatever that ends up being called. But we do know a few things, and one of the coolest aspects of it is we've confirmed who the main villain's going to be and who's playing him, and that's Jake Gyllenhaal portraying Mysterio. There's a couple of awesome things about that right out of the gate. Gyllenhaal's a pretty interesting performer, and I think he's a good choice for Mysterio. He reminds me a lot of Michael Keaton, a seasoned veteran who can probably show a different shade of himself through this villainous character that I'm really looking forward to seeing. He's done stuff like this before, but nothing quite like Mysterio because Mysterio is such a unique and fun villain to begin with. The whole idea of him being this special effects artist and illusionist should be something very fun for the MCU and the general canon of Spider-Man to explore in this film. The way that they create scenes and do stuff, they should be able to do some very clever things with Mysterio if their track record with other technological-based heroes is any indication. Plus, it's movie magic, and doing that sort of thing through the MCU, I don't know, I'm really interested in seeing how they approach that sort of business. Hopefully Watts will return as director. He did Homecoming, and he seems pretty interested in doing more of these movies. He's a good fit, and I think he did a really good job with Homecoming on the whole. It's not a perfect movie, but it really is one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. That moment where Peter's talking to himself and lifting all that rubble that he's buried under, that feels like a quintessential Spider-Man moment that no other movie has lived up to, in my opinion. As good as the Sam Raimi films are, I really have a soft spot for Tom Holland and the Spider-Man that he's brought to the table through the MCU. Watts has also expressed an interest in including Black Widow and having her team up with Spider-Man, and hopefully Scarlett Johansson's up for that because that would be a fun addition, and it would be cool if she sort of took place as the MCU side character instead of Tony Stark this time around. If Tony ends up being involved again, that would be great, but I really just don't know how often or how much Robert Downey Jr. plans on being Iron Man going forward, especially when we get into Marvel Phase 4. And that's the really interesting aspect of this movie and why it's worth kind of keeping an eye on this thing. We don't know what the plan is for Marvel after Infinity War, and likely Marvel hasn't quite figured it out yet. It's going to be a long time before they start unveiling things, but certainly the fact that it seems like their Fox deal is going through is a pretty strong indication that they have some interesting plans for this franchise. If so, I would expect them to go in the direction of something like Time Runs Out, since it lets the Avengers go up against Doctor Doom and can easily explain away the differences between the various universes that exist in the film studios across the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Avengers. And on that note, I think we'll be taking a look at Mysterio as a character in a little bit more detail in a video this week. So I'm looking forward to talking about that some more, and am definitely excited about this movie on the whole. I mean, it's hard not to be at this point. The MCU has such a great track record, as I always say. It makes me just excited about pretty much anything they're doing. I hear Ant-Man and Wasp is great, and I've seen some of the promotional images and I'm really pumped about the sheer number of size-changing characters involved in this story. We have Lawrence Fishburne playing Goliath, and a few other interesting characters that they're introducing, along with Wasp being the co-stars right beside Ant-Man. So I'll let you know what I think about that stuff, and let me know what you guys think of Spider-Man Far From Home in the comments section below. My prediction is the movie's going to be Spider-Man out in space for the first bit, dealing with the fallout of Infinity War before he returns home, and the bulk of the movie deals with that return, Aunt May, and obviously Mysterio as the main antagonist of the film. I would also suspect that it's going to be a smaller scale movie, just like Homecoming, relative to the larger Infinity War stuff. The big honcho over at the MCU, Kevin Feige, seems to indicate that they're going to go in that direction. With smaller scale videos, they're not trying the big grand crossover of Thanos. But he did make that comment before the deal between Fox and Disney was confirmed. And like I said, Time Runs Out just feels like the right choice, the way to make things exciting, and it will be a big event on the scale of Infinity War, but that's okay, because it's going to mean the X-Men and the Avengers are going to be in this big shared universe. As much as I might gripe about the whole specifics of the Disney and Fox deal, that aspect of it is very exciting, and I am looking forward to seeing what they do about all of that. So thanks for watching. If you like Comic Island, please check out our Patreon page in the video description below. And finally, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.